Raw material, starring ECW legends Jerry Lynn and Mikey Whipwreck. Now, let's welcome your host, Mike Freland.
How are you? My name is Mike Freland. It is Tuesday night. It is Front Row Material. Good to have you joining us again. We got a big show for you this week. We're going to be talking about our six-pack of questions with our panel. Ooh, Ultimate Warrior action. What's going on with Dana Warrior? Looks like she isn't too happy with the dark side of the ring. We're also going to be talking about the WWE cuts today. Wonder what happened with all of that and what prompted it. We're going to get in and talk about that as well. Mia Yim and one of my favorite guys, the Ritt, I'm telling you right now, he's not been seen for a while, and I don't know what's going on. Do you know who that is? Mia Yim's in Squeeze?
That would be the man, Keith Lee.
Where's Keith Lee? Keith Lee, I hope they don't screw the pooch on this. I've said this for months now. Keith Lee is one of the most gifted wrestlers that we've seen in the last 20-some-odd years. Please, WWE, don't screw this up. Anyway, with that being said, as I mentioned before, the Ritt is joining us right now. Look at you. You in a collared shirt. That's not something you see every day. Look at you.
Hey, Freeland.
Yeah.
When you got a guest of the caliber we have, you have to step up your game and look presentable when he's on screen with you. You know, you can't just come in with a $5 T-shirt, a hand-me-down. You got to go collar. You know, I broke out the good watch.
Oh, you got the watch on. Look at you.
The good watch.
Damn.
You know.
You got your beard looking good. Look at you. I saw you with that manly straight iron or whatever the hell that thing is that you got. That comb that heats up. That's nice.
My beard straightener.
Can I still say on fleek? Or is that out? Is that not on spot?
Unfortunately, you gotta be at least 25 to say that.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Hey, just wanted to run it past you. You know, the worst question is the one you don't ask. So
exactly.
But speaking of a big guest, it's Darius Carter, and this is a big deal.
I hate to cut you off here. This is Darius Carter. This is the All Father. This is the debonair millionaire. Oh. This is the man who does not discriminate. He doesn't care if you're a man, woman, child, referee, guy in the front row, podcast announcer. He will put boots to faces. This is wrestling's richest prize, Darius Carter. And in case you guys don't know who he is, let's play that video to get familiar with him real quick.
Roll it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Darius Carter, wrestling's richest prize.
He is wrestling's richest prize and the father of change. He is Mr. Darius Carter.
Classic by definition.
You came, you saw, you lost.
Sorry.
And Darius Carter with the lungbow. I beat the likes of Elijah Burke, of Jinder Mahal. It's good to be the king.
Every promotion I touch, I elevate it. I raise the bar.
When I take that championship from you, the entire horizon of Warriors of Wrestling changes. That title is mine, and you can take that to the bank.
Whoa. Ritt, it's not very often I get caught off guard, but when you told me that this was a big deal and that I need to get my you-know-what together, you weren't kidding.
Why would I kid?
I don't know. I don't know why I should ever doubt you again.
This man, I've known him since 2011. He's come a long way. He's not only grabbed the brass ring, he is the brass ring in professional wrestling.
Then what am I doing? I'm being a schmo. We should bring this guy on right now. Should we do it? Ladies and gentlemen, he is the future of professional wrestling. Well, hell, he's the current, the future, the be-all, end-all. He's the best-looking man on this show tonight. Well, let's be honest. He's probably the best-looking man wherever he goes. This name is Darius Carter. Darius, wow. Look at this man.
What a magnificent introduction, a wonderful video showcasing my excellence. I am glad to be here, and most of all, I know that you're glad to have me here. So thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, it's our pleasure, and we are in the midst of greatness, my friend. So I tell you what, you tell us how it goes. We are nothing but your simple servants tonight.
Oh, that's the way of life. That's the way that it is. I didn't write it this way. It's the way that was written. And Ritt, I wanted to say hello to you. It's been so long, so very long. And he's right, from 2011, and I started training in 2008. So it wasn't long after I had really stepped my foot in the door. So he's been there to kind of oversee what's been going on with me and the progress that I've made, the change, wink, wink, that I've brought about. So I'm excited to be here. I'm glad to be here, and I'm happy to make the world know of my name, of the All Father's name, and why you should be tuning into everything that I do.
I was the Ritt gave me the Iggy, and he said, "Man, you got to check out this library of matches." And I literally sat down, had myself a drinky drink and some popcorn, and between that, Drew Gulak and Matt Riddle, I was watching matches on, and everything, and it was just like a who's who. And I'm saying to myself, self, why is this man not with an AEW? Why is this man not dominating NXT? You know what I mean? So I think we need to find out. We need these questions answered, because from what I've seen from you, my friend, with all due respect, you've got the charisma, you've got the confidence, you got the in-ring talent to put it all together, and it's so exciting to see you continue to thrive.
Thank you. And, listen, that's the question you get asked. You get asked, why aren't you here? Why aren't you there? And obviously, if you knew exactly why, you would do something about it. And even if you do know why, maybe you're not in a particular position to do something about it. Or at the same time, maybe things are working out the way they need to work out. I'm one of those people that believes, the right things will happen at the right time. And I've endured. I've never stopped. I've never taken a hiatus from professional wrestling. I never said, oh, this isn't for me, and stopped wrestling for a year or 2 years or a half a year. I never took a break. And I was wrestling while I was going to college, while I was working, so that all never stopped. I had to keep, I'm going from class to training to back to study. I mean, this was my life. And people don't know that about me because I don't broadcast it, but I've hustled to make this happen. I've made a dream that I had a legitimate reality, and I'm living it every day. I'm living it every month. And, if it takes me a little bit longer because I'm doing it my way than doing it some other way that gets me there quicker, I'm going to do it my way. And I'm going to be undeniable. I will be irrefutable. And I will have my time, and I know and I believe that. I know that in my heart. I know that in my mind, and I just have to continue to apply myself.
Darius, we're on a first name basis, right?
Oh, of course.
I can call you Darius.
You and I can be on a first name basis.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Darius, you sit there and people ask you, why aren't you here? Why aren't you there? But why aren't they asking you, why are you at the top of here? Why are you at the top of there? You anywhere you go, I see you, capturing that gold, elevating the roster, elevating shows, selling tickets. Why are people asking you that?
What it is I think sometimes people want to see you in a particular place so much that sometimes they forget to realize where you are now. And it's not like I'm not anywhere. It's not like I'm just wrestling at podunk shows. It's not like I'm not featured regularly on Fight TV, on IWTV. You could even on Facebook pages that are running these accounts, the indie wrestling accounts. You've been seeing me on there as well with Camp Leapfrog. So it's not like I'm not doing anything. It's not like moves aren't being made, and it's not like I'm not holding a championship for Pro Wrestling Magic, which now will be on IWTV. They were on Fight TV. So again, continuing to upgrade to help brands elevate. And that's what I'm here to do. And I think it doesn't take the sharpest eye to see this. You can see this with the naked eye. You can see this pretty clearly, and it's up to you to interpret it how you want to interpret it. But you see that I'm at Pro Wrestling Magic. You see that I'm holding a championship there, and next thing you know, IWTV. I mean, these things aren't a coincidence. And I'm not saying that I'm the only reason, but I'm saying that I'm a contributing factor because I show up there every time that they need me. I'm there for every taping. I'm one of the last people, if not the last person to leave. I may not be the first to get there, but I'm always among the last to leave in everything that they need. Promos, pictures, of course the in-ring match. You're going to get that, of course. But anything that they need in the locker room to help elevate the show and to get my name out there, to get the show's name out there. That's the type of person I am. It's not just about what you do in the ring. It's about what you do outside of the ring. It's about the business that you conduct. And I've always considered myself a very good and strong businessman in this business. And that may scare people because they don't know me, or maybe I don't have someone's name behind me to push me along. But if you talk to me, you know that I'm about it, and I'm here to make things work, and I'm here for the best of the business. So to me, again, it's like the watch. It's a matter of time, and I just have to keep doing what I'm doing, and that's it.
Well, it's a who's who of where you have been champion and held gold, Ace Diamond champion, Tier 1, PWM, BCW. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, many people look at Kenny Omega and say he's the belt collector, my friend, but you've been doing this way before Kenny started doing it. And I feel like it's one of these things where you got to pay homage to people who've done it before. You, Ultimo Dragon, there's a very short list of people who can do that. And my friend, you're doing it not only in one promotion, but you're doing it all over.
Yeah, that's. I mean, listen, to even be mentioned among that company, but that's the hustle that I have. Like I said, 16 championships I've held in my career, and I've been wrestling over 11 years. So to be able to not just hold, I'm not a title holder. When I am a champion, I'm there to build the company. I'm not there to just take pictures with it and post pictures on Instagram. I'm there to seriously help boost your brand. There is trust in me to bring you to the next level when that championship is bestowed, and I have a job to do, and I do that job very efficiently and very well and with care. I care about this. I love this, and it's evident in any a piece of work that I'm putting out there. If you listen to a promo of mine, you can tell my passion. If you see my wrestling work, you can see the passion. I don't have to sit here and explain it to you. I don't have to sit here and tell it to you because you can go and watch it yourself. But I'm here for this business. And listen, if you're not, I can detect it. And I may call it out, and it may get me a little bit of heat or a little bit of flack. But I'm real to this. And I'm going to do what I have to do to get to where I need to get to. I'm going to do things my way. I'm not going to acquiesce to I'm not going to fit into somebody's box because they want me to fit there. I'm not going to be something that isn't me because I have been able to get this far because I've been myself. Because I've been true to myself. People tell me in the backstage, they tell me behind the scenes, they say, listen, we see what's going on, just don't change. Don't who you are, like stay who you are. And I hear that all the time. And that's somebody I've always been. It's never been a question. But to continually hear that, especially now as I'm continuing to ascend, I know that I'm doing the right thing. I feel it. I can smell it in the air. I can waft it in. And that's what I'm about. A lot of other people try to hang their hat on coat racks that aren't theirs. I want my own legitimacy. I only want to get there through my own legitimacy. I don't want to ride someone's coattails. I don't want to have been pushed into an opportunity by somebody. I'll do what I have to do. Darius Carter will get there, and you'll appreciate it a lot more when I get there the way that I got there.
Darius, people sit there and say your style is a mix between Nick Botwinkle and Lord Steven Regal. those are great mat technicians. So, well, how'd you come about the style of, that's what you want to do in the ring?
I've always been like privy to detail. I always like the little things, and I think as you get older, as a person and as somebody that's wrestling, so it's two different maturities, right? It's a maturity in the business, and it's a maturity as a human being, as the actual person behind it. And I think as I continue to grow, in this, I was interested in different things. I was interested in how the person was grabbing somebody, how you'd grab an ankle, how you'd grab a foot, how you would grab a hand, how you'd grab a wrist, the neck, why you're doing certain things that you do. And the European style really caught on to me as I was growing because it was always so precise. I mean, I remember Regal in WCW. I mean, he'd wrestle Goldberg or he could wrestle anybody, and nobody would ever blow through this guy. And, he'd wrestle Sting, he'd wrestle Randy Savage. And sure, Regal wasn't the world champ. He wasn't, quote unquote, at the top of the card, but he was always holding his own against people that you would think you were trained to be thought that they would go through him. You would think that Randy Savage would maybe get through him in 4 or 5 minutes, but that's not the case. Regal would give you a hard, rough match no matter who you were, and that always kind of stuck with me. Fit Finlay, watching him and Booker T, those were the aspects of WCW that captured me with those types of wrestlers and that type of style. And I feel like I got to grow up during that era of seeing both the WWF and WCW right on prime time. So as I was doing that and watching the old school wrestling as well, because my great grandmother who had really kind of brought me up onto this. She was such an old school wrestling fan. She would watch the NWA and AWA. So that was also introduced to me. So I'm kind of like an amalgamation of these things, like bringing them all together in my own way is what I try to do. So I do I'm definitely an advocate of the old school, but it's with a modern touch. It does have some of those nuances of the present that are like, oh, look at that. And that's what I loved. I really grew into the ligaments and bending the bones and bending the joints because you can do that to anybody. You can be a giant. You can be a cruiserweight. You could be a high flyer. If I twist your ankle, I'm twisting your ankle. And it's a style that felt very realistic to me. As I watched it on TV, it always looked very realistic to me. And that just became part of my offense. At some point, I cared less about doing moves, and I cared more about how I'd work you over, how I'd grab you, or how I'd make you feel pain. How many different ways I can do that, and that type of creativity never ends. You never reach a certain point and stop learning. There's so many different ways to maneuver somebody the way you want to maneuver them. There's so many different ways to control the human body, and I'm fascinated by that. And that's what my ring style is. It's just finding a way to pick you apart. No matter how big you are, I can make you crawl. And that's the whole point of it.
Let me ask you this. When it comes to your work ethic, is obviously you have a very strong work ethic, and it seems like you're very dedicated to your craft. Where did that all kind of come from? I mean, obviously a lot of us hear about, when you were trained. So tell us a little bit about that. Who was the one who trained you, and what was kind of a work ethic was instilled in you early on?
So I was trained in November of 2008. This was BWO, Body Slam Wrestling Organization. And I know Ritt, that kind of helped get me over to PA and to seeing you was through Richie Rotten and then Preacher Phineas James. So the funny thing about that is 2008 was my 18th year. So there was a lot going on that year. And I went straight into college. So at September of 2008, I went into college. And then 2 months later, I start training to become a professional wrestler. So literally my entire college tenure, I was also training to be a professional wrestler. And Again, that's not something everybody knew about me. So like I said, I would go to classes and then I would go straight to training and come back and be studying. And then I'd do the test and then I'd go to training and then I'd go to work. I mean, this was my life. And college and wrestling were literally ingrained. Those were both shared experiences. And it's different, and it's a life that I would never, I wouldn't trade for anything. I've lived a very charmed life, and my mother really helped instill that in me. That not hard nosed, but that you have to handle your own business. No one's going to handle it for you. I never expected anything to be laid out for me, and I was an only child, so you would think, okay, spoiled or what have you. But I mean, I was my mother's son, but I had to earn things on my own. I had to go out there and get my job, my first job when I was 16 on my birthday. I actually went for the job interview 2 weeks before I turned 16, and then on my 16th birthday, it was when I started working. So that was the type of instillment. That was the type of the path that my mother wanted me to go down. And it's something that always stuck with me. I've always been someone who's hardworking, who's consistent, who has to keep their hands in motion. I'm not really an idle hands type of guy. I'm not someone that you'll ever hear say I'm bored. I don't think that I've ever said that in any type of conversation ever. I'm never bored. There's always something to do, and I just enjoy the hustle. I love the life. I loved going to the UK in 2017 and 2018 for 2 wrestling tours. The first was a week, the second was 2 weeks with LDN, and getting to go, okay, a hotel, and then wake up, travel to the venue, set up the ring, wrestle, take the ring down, meet and greet. Now we go out, we go to eat, we go back, we watch some tape, we fall asleep, we wake up, we do it all over again. You go to a hotel, you come back. Like, I like that type of lifestyle. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids, so it's just me. So I'm fully focused and dedicated to the hustle that I've had. And you don't really think about how much you're hustling or moving until people say it to you. They're like, Darius, man, like, you get any sleep? Like, what do you? And it's like, it's so ingrained in me to be this way that I've never even really thought twice about it. It's just part of who I am. It's just to hustle and to keep moving and to just always, that your energy is constant. Your energy is flowing. Energy can't sit still. It has to go into and return unto. So I feel like I'm always in constant flux, and it's just a beautiful way. It's just a beautiful way to live. Like I said, I'm charmed to live this way. I know a lot of people have different types of experiences and suffer in different ways. And for me, I have to always keep going. No matter what, the pandemic hits, I continue to work. I continue to wrestle. There was no way anything was stopping me. If I have to get tests, I'll get tests. If I have to get tested before every event, I will do that. I've been doing that. I've gotten tested in a tremendous amount of times, and I'll continue to get tested if that's what I need to do what I love. That's not even a second thought to me. Some people, this is getting a little much. I'll do what I have to do to keep wrestling.
Well, Darius, 13 years you've been in the business. Am I correct? This is your 13th year?
So I'm coming on 12. So because 2008, remember, was when I started training, and then my first match was April of 2009. So I'm coming on to 12 now. Okay.
So 12 years in the business, and this year was a big year for you.
Yeah.
PWI, there's your name. WrestleMania weekend, there you were. Tell us about your travels down there at WrestleMania weekend for the first time.
Yeah, so this weekend was nice to actually return to this, because I actually did a WrestleMania weekend back in 2017, or WrestleMania week, and I had gone down to Florida as well, but it was different places in Florida because they were more Orlando. Here was more Tampa. So this time, I was 4 years better. And wrestling even though I didn't wrestle as many times as I did in 2017, I definitely wrestled for bigger promotions, with all due respect to 2017. But in this year I was able to do GCW. I debuted on GCW for the Gray Sweatpants Battle Royal hosted by Faye Jackson. I came out in a full-on three-piece gray suit, no sweatpants. I had the scarf. I was styling and profiling as I always and naturally do. The matching watch. I mean, it's not cheap to live this way, and I don't sell merchandise, so I have to do what I have to do, to work and to get to where I am. So, and to have this presentation and to be Darius Carter, to be this worldly figure that's really kind of encapsulated to the indie scene, to the independent scene. There's so much. I know, like I said, I know my time will come, but I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the every bit of it. Every blade of grass that I get to water and make better or help live longer, which is what I'm hopefully getting to do with these promotions like Pro Wrestling Magic and Warriors. I was Warriors of Wrestling champion and holding them through the pandemic. They were really the first promotion that I was able to, when the pandemic happened back in March, they're really the only place that was functioning. So I was there every single month. I won the heavyweight championship back, and then we were just doing studio tapings. And that was really the only work we were able to get in the beginning, but it was still work. And that's what I mean. You got to find it. If you want to wrestle bad enough, you can find a place that will get you to wrestle. And we got tested. We had to get tested before each occasion. So it was not like it was some underground situation. It was 100% professional, 100% legitimate. We saw the results. And I had to go out there, every month as the champion now, and to get you to talk about Warriors during this pandemic. So it was a great challenge. It was also something that I feel is kind of part of me, and I'm so used to doing that, not to sound that way, but I feel like I've kind of been putting promotions on for a while. I really feel like since 2015, 2016 was where I really got to elevate to that level where I was able to really put places, help elevate them now. Places like Beyond Wrestling, places like Warriors of Wrestling, places like BCW, where I'm now the heavyweight champion for coming on 950 days. We had a show in Atlantic City, and I wrestled JTG back in August. Early September 5th. So, I mean, again, things are happening. You have to be in the right place, but you have to find it too. You can't ever rest. You can't ever stop. And I'm always looking for that next thing. I'm always targeting that next success. And, to me, I have my end goal, but that end goal can come when it comes. I'm 30, I'm 30. I'm about to turn 31 on July 10th. I'm spry. I'm at my best. And I'm not even going to say that I can't even say that I've reached my peak, because who knows what my peak even is? Who knows if I have a peak? But I feel like I'm just on. I don't know. I just feel like I'm on fire on the mic, in the ring. I feel like you could put me in any situation. I'm adaptable, and I'm ready, and I'm prepared, and excited, and just with foresight. I see the future, and I see where things are going to go, and I feel like I'm contributing in my own way as it is. But time will tell. Time will tell.
Well, Darius, you say if there's wrestling out there, you want it, you find it, and I love that about you. What was it this past year? I sit there and I was watching a little tweet of yours at a show, and all of a sudden, I went hashtag boots to faces, because you, man, you do not discriminate. You this past 2 years have put intergender wrestling back on the map. You're willing to get in there with anybody. You get in there with some greats. The current Impact Women's Champion. You were in the ring with her. You don't care. Why don't you tell us a little bit about intergender wrestling? Your love for it. How you do not discriminate. Boots to faces.
Listen, if you want to be the best professional wrestler in the world, if you want to rank among the true upper echelon of pro wrestlers, you have to face women too. if you're a man. I just, that's just how I feel. I feel like at some point, because some of the best wrestlers in the world are women. You better believe it. I mean, you could talk someone who I hold in the utmost highest regard, who, you know, is in NXT UK now, is Mako Satomura. You try to compare, there's not a lot of people that you can even compare, let alone say, oh, this person is better. Mako Satomura is stupendous with her ring work. And that's somebody that, you know, I like to watch. You know, but when we talk about people that I faced, we talk about Su Yung, who was one of my favorite matches, male or female, or non-binary, no matter what your race, creed, gender. I mean, it's all about ability. It's all about the art that you can paint. And if you're great, you're great. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you look like. And I think that's really where wrestling is getting to now. I feel like there were a lot of blockades. There were a lot of, you know, locked off rooms. And I feel like now things are opening up so much. Why wouldn't I want to face those people? You know, why wouldn't I want to show you that Darius Carter can be in the ring with anybody? I can be in the ring, again, with a man, with a woman, with someone that is non-binary. I can be in the ring with anyone at any particular situation. There are times where they want me to wrestle authority figures. They want me to wrestle the promoter because that's the way that things are going. Anybody. And again, some of the best women's wrestlers, Su Yung, Kimber Lee, Holiday, Saraya Knight, all
Jordan Grace.
Women that I've had the pleasure of being in the ring with, and having some of the best matches that I've had. To me, if you're having an intergender event, okay, and I am not at that event, I am not on that event, I'm wondering what's going on, because that is something, and it's not that I focused my career on that. It's not that I was even particularly targeting that. It was just I was open to do it. Whereas a lot of people maybe weren't, or were hesitant because they didn't want a girl to beat them up, or didn't want to look on, or whatever people generate in their own mind to cease from creating greater art. For me, I'm like, you know, if you're a wrestler, you're a wrestler. You trained, I trained. You have a background, I have a background. You've won titles, I've won titles. I mean, you're a wrestler. You are a professional wrestler. So if I hit you, you should be able to take it. If you're a 12-year-old but you're cleared to be a wrestler, you're getting kicked in the face. If you're a woman and you're a wrestler, you're getting chopped in the throat. And if you're a man that wants to be a wrestler, I don't care if you went to the deli, if you work at a deli, I don't care what you do. If you are in the ring and you're wearing gear and you're cleared to be a wrestler and you stand on the opposite side of that squared circle against me, you are getting kicked in the face. And that's the business that I work, baby. And it's good. It's good.
Darius, let me ask you a question. What do you feel like looking back when you first started as opposed to the people that are breaking into the business now? What's something they're lacking that you feel like, man, you better get it quick or you're going to lose it?
And that's a good question. And I think it's almost patience. It's patience. And I don't just mean angst. I don't just mean like, oh, I got to have it now. I mean like really taking your time to understand what you're doing, and to be given the time to stop and reflect on what you're doing. I think there's just so much, and it's just part of culture. It's not just wrestling. It's part of life. I feel like so much of life now is about, you know, living and fast forward. It's about speeding through things and moving through things and getting to the end as quick as you can. It's like, but if you know how it already ends, why are you racing to get there? You know, why aren't you enjoying every bit of it? I mean, listen, if I know that at some point I'm going to be on TV, why do I have to rush my way there? Why do I have to cut corners and take shortcuts and cheat people or ride a coattail or politic? Why do I have to do something to get ahead? Why can't I have the confidence in myself to know that one day my time will come, but let me just ride while I can. Let me do everything I can while I'm here. I enjoy wrestling where I'm wrestling. It's not like I don't enjoy everything that I'm doing. I'm not miserable waiting to be on TV. I love wrestling for Pro Wrestling Magic, for Warriors of Wrestling, for Camp Leapfrog, for all the places that I'm able to compete at and to make better. I love being on IWTV. I love being on Fight TV. I love being on Title Match Network. I love being on all these places and getting my face showcased. What is wrong with the building process? I feel like a lot of guys now and a lot of people now, it's just got to be quick. You got to get there. Guys get to TV after being in wrestling for a year, 2 years. And it's just like, and it's not that that's a particular bad thing, but you have to go through a process. You don't want to get pushed and shoved so quickly that the fall hurts so much more. You want to be able to build and to manifest. And I feel like I've created I feel like I have padding. I feel like there's no way I can fall that I'm not prepared to get up, if that makes sense, because I've been through it for a while. I've been through it and I've seen people go through it and I learn from other people. I don't have to particularly go through what you went through to learn from you. And I think that's another thing that is just lacking. I feel like some people just don't learn until it happens to them. You tell them 10 times, they don't listen, then they get burned. For me, if I see someone get burned bad enough doing something, I know I don't have to do that thing. I'm not so arrogant to say, well, that happened to them, it won't happen to me. I'm smart like that, and I feel like that's allowed me to stay the course, to not get injured, knock on wood, to remain consistent, and to be a driving force, wherever I'm at. I think that's very important. And I wish that a lot of wrestlers nowadays took the time to take their time.
Well, Darius, you've been in the locker room with plenty of names that have been to the big time, Do you think we could – many of them.
Crazy to think about.
Do you sit there and think that you could give the viewers and listeners a little tidbit of advice some of these guys give you?
Yeah, you listen, people, and it sounds kind of cliche, or it kind of sounds kind of streamlined, but you got to listen who it's coming from and what it means. People get in there. It's one thing to get advice from someone before you wrestle them. It's another to get it from afterwards. I think that's something very important. You could come up and ask, you have Damian Sandow that you're going to be wrestling on the card, which I had the privilege of doing. I can ask him something before the match. And then if I ask him something after, I know it's going to be a different answer because he's been in the ring with me. He's experienced me. He's felt me. Now he knows me better, to where he can give me particular advice, and maybe not just general advice that Damian Sandow would give. Or normal advice that Jinder Mahal would give, or Elijah Burke, EC3. They all give different advice in their own ways, but a lot of it kind of comes to the core of being yourself and not trying to be something, but being it. I'm not going out there trying to particularly get your boos. I'm just being myself and generating that reaction. I think that's very important. Generating instead of trying to, you build off of something that's not real. I think that's emotion. Work the emotion. Pay attention to the crowd. And whenever I hear that type of compliment where someone says to me, hey, look, I like how you did that. I like how you paid attention to the crowd. I like how you, did things like that. That sticks with me. So I've gotten timeless advice. And it's really kind of awesome to think about, to say here I am and having to, I really got to, even if it was for a few minutes, I got to sit under a learning tree of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This man literally, was there at a Warriors of Wrestling taping, Warriors of Wrestling show. There were 2 nights of Warriors of Wrestling, a Friday and a Saturday, and he was there for both, doing a meet and greet thing, but he watched all the matches. And for him to pull me aside and said, hey, I saw that tag match you had, and he gave me some advice for it. And then, going into my singles match on that Saturday, where I was just, even more amped, just for him to even talk to me and to pull me aside. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who was one half of my favorite feud and my favorite matches with Ric Flair in 1989. So, Chi-Town Rumble, Clash of Champions, and Wrestle War. Those were my 3 matches. So for Ricky the Dragon to be talking to me, to give me advice, for Norman Smiley to have given me some of the advice and to put some holds on me and to show me some maneuvers, and to, because he watched my match with Holodead at Warriors of Wrestling back in 2018. So you got to stop and appreciate those things. You can't ever think you're beyond it. You can't ever think that you're better than it. You have to realize that these people have traveled the world and they're taking the time to talk to you and to give you advice. Every bit of it is in here, and it's all about putting it into the best package possible. It's all about using every bit of information I've ever received to create the supercomputer that is Darius Carter.
Well, Darius, we went one way of what advice has been given to you. Do you ever sit there and see some of the newer guys on cards, talk to them, hey, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? How'd you get to this move? Did you ever sit there and give advice to other people?
Absolutely. No, and that's what's funny enough is I feel like, and that's why I feel like this has been the best year of my career so far, and that's how it should be. I felt like that in 2020. I felt like 2020 was my best. I feel like now 2021 is my best, and I've really been feeling that way ever since, again, 2014, 2015, where I really started to, I feel, truly discover myself and to dig through the rough to get to the diamond inside. I love to teach where I can and to help kind of educate and give and shed light and give some ideas, because it just makes you better. Sometimes you need to hear yourself say it to really, not to really grasp it. And I know that sounds, again, kind of cliche, but if it just stays in your mind, it's in your mind. Putting it into words adds its power to it. Putting it into practice adds power to it. So to be able to go to a training session, say at a Warriors of Wrestling, and to be with these students of different experiences and to help give them knowledge, it helps me, it helps me grow, because it's kind of like I'm able to help manifest people. And that's what I want to do. That's what I'm looking to do in the ring. I'm looking to help make you better. I'm looking to help elevate your game. Sure, I want to look as good as I can, but I want you to say to everyone, look, Darius, listen, and that guy, I know I'm good in a ring with him. And I know I might get a few licks. I might get hit a little bit. I might get kicked in the face. The wrestling may be rough, because that's the business, but you come out of it better. You come out of it feeling like you were engaged, like you wrestled a match in real time, like you wrestled listening to the crowd, in front of a crowd, emotions. That's what this is about. It's not just motion, it's emotion. And man, it's just, even just talking about it, that's why I feel wrestling needs. I feel like, people that are veterans or people that have experience, listen, if you're watching the matches, go tell somebody. Sometimes you see people watch a match and then they don't go back and talk to them. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm going to go to everyone and talk to them. I'm not that person. But if you ask me what to watch a match, or if you ask what my thought is, I'm going to have one. And I'm appreciative that you'd even come to ask me. And it's nice to be asked. I'm at the point where people will ask me, and it's beneficial to everyone, because it's beneficial to you to get an answer, and it's beneficial to me because it's only building my confidence, and it's only building upon my knowledge of this sport, and saying, look, I know, I'm at a place where people can learn from me. That means that I'm elevating. That means that I'm getting to where I need to be. It's validation. It's vindication. So I wish more locker rooms were doing that. And I feel like that is happening. I'm not going to say that it's not happening. But on the younger side, the younger wrestlers, they need to not be afraid. You have to ask people. You have to, if you see someone in a locker room, hover around them or go talk to them. I don't want to say hover around them like annoy them, but if you're, go say hi. If you're a little scared, watch someone else interact and listen. William Regal was at this was in 2016. He was at a Tier 1 wrestling event, and they were kind of opening for Evolve. We were the show before Evolve. And Regal would give advice to people's matches in the locker room. He didn't get to see my match because, of course, by the grace of God, I was match 1 with Fred Yehai, and William Regal arrives right before match 2. So I was the only match he actually didn't see that day. And that's just the luck of it. And William Regal is my person. That's my guy. So anything he could have said, he could have totally destroyed the match and ripped it apart, and it would have been A-okay to me because I would have went back home and learned everything. I learned from everything that he said to me. And I feel like me and Fred not really kind of put in some work that match. So I would have loved to think of what he thought. But the point that I'm making is that he would give all these advices to all this advice to people in the back, all these different suggestions, all these different ideas. Regal was really watching their matches. It wasn't passive. He was invested. And to hear him giving the advice, that was enough for me. I was winning. I was learning from what he was saying to other people. When he was telling certain people, why would you sell this way when you get hit this way? Open yourself up, and really feed for your opponent, and little things like that stuck with me. And maybe it stuck with me more than it stuck with the people he was telling it to. But the wrestling locker room is a luxury because there's so much talent, or should be enough talent, where you can listen and learn, and you may not even have to speak to them. You can just listen to conversation, and you can pick up on things. And as you get up in the wrestling business and you're sitting in locker rooms like a WWE locker room, an AEW locker room, what does your mouth need to be running for if your ear's working? I want to listen. I want to hear what's going on. I want to listen to the top people talking to the top people, because that's where you want to be. What are you going to say that's more important than the things that you can listen to? That's my type of knowledge. And that's what another suggestion for young people, man, is just listen. You got to eat a lot of crow. And I've had people tell me, please, I've basically had my face against the wall with people throwing a dart looking to end me. I've basically, you might as well try and put me out to cross me out to a T. People have come for me. And how do you withstand that? By conviction, by staying true to yourself. And you really got to look at yourself and say, look, am I that person? No, I know I'm not that person. So I don't have the energy to feed that stuff, because I have to use that energy to propel myself. So when people were coming for me, I use that as a platform instead of using it as a deteriorator. And that's the point. Motivation versus deterioration. You can let people get to you, or you can be so good that you get to people. And that's what I decided to do, was to stay that course. I'll get to you. You know what I mean? If you feel a certain way about me, that's your feeling. That doesn't mean I feel that way about you. And I think that's something we need to put out there. You can feel a way. It doesn't mean I feel the same. And I hope that there's less assuming in pro wrestling and more actual pursuit of knowledge, because that's where this business can prosper. That's where we grow.
You had mentioned before about, intergender wrestling and, taking your game to another level and experiencing different aspects of wrestling and being able to adjust with that, succeed in that, and grow. Well, I've seen on the old resume here, as I've looked at it here, GCW and CZW. Now, Darius, you're too good looking of a man to get yourself all messed up with that barbed wire and the thumbtacks. So I guess a question I would have is, A, why and how did those opportunities present themselves? I think we've all watched the recent documentary on Nick Gage. And I watched it, and I saw that there's a tournament, a death match tournament. And I want to say is it in Jersey or is it in Pennsylvania? One of the two areas. Mm-hmm. But I just don't understand. So maybe you can help me understand what drew you to a CZW and a GCW when most people would say, man, this guy, he's much more than that, not to put it down, but it's very niche. And just what kind of took you in that direction?
Honestly, it's about versatility and about name value as well. I just want, and if you've really been paying attention to my career over this past year, you'll see that I've been wrestling in so many different environments. There are times where I'm not wrestling in a ring.